What's up, brothers? Welcome back again. Car hasn't left, we haven't left, but you guys have. We're gonna do this control arm bushings in the front. So while we got it up here, we're gonna pull these wheels and pull these arms and show you how it's done. Something tells me this guy's been ripping in this car since we put the exhaust on. This is why we're replacing both bushings. So you look at quality there, it is completely blown out. So the backs are the worst ones. The fronts
are a little loose.
But while we're here, we might as well tighten her up, make it right.
Anyway.
So lower ball joint, nut, which is nice, it's just a nut. And then the two bolts that come in the backside, we'll have to take the splash guard off so we can get the bolts from, because these bolts here come in from the backside. And then the one comes in from down here for the rear bushing. Now we've got the splash guard down. These two bolts here are what hold the front bushing on. So he's gonna bang them off with an 18, 17. Ooh, this ball joint's spinning. So he was having issues, if you saw the clip before, the ball joint was spinning. So a lot of times I use a jack under the control arm and press up on it so it pushes the taper. Yeah, and he pushed up with his hand a little bit and it was enough to get it to stick in the control arm. But if you need the extra assistance, a jack really works well to get that tapered joint to sit really tight in there and get the nut off. Guns, getting the big guns! That's a 3/4 drive, by the way, boys. That's when you really gotta do work.
And when the Milwaukee's dead.
Yeah, that too. So we need a wrench for the top. So the wrench is a 21. He's got a 19 or an 18 on the gun. Gonna get up here with a wrench and hold on to it while he hits it.
Ready?
Yep. I think it was serious. I thought I was gonna lose my arm there for a second. There you go. Reenactment. There we go. Oh, did you see that? He was just prying on it though. For using this as the pivot point to pry on it, get it off. Came right out. Ball joint's also bad, so we're gonna replace this too. So these are easy, just bolts on either side. Take them down and put them in. Ooh, look at all the dust coming out of that thing.
Dust and red Loctite.
Yeah, good luck just pulling that out. We're resorting to the big guns. Oh yeah. Beautiful.
That shot out of there like a bullet.
Yeah, it did. Dude, air hammers are the tits. I'll share it with you. There's some cheap ones on Amazon that are pretty good, so I'll share them with you. Description. This side is totally different. Give me some lighting. Well, for the front forward bushing, the bolts are kind of covered by all these hoses. You just got to make sure you're out of the way, and these are power steering lines, so you've got to be careful if you're going at it with an impact, because this one is directly covered. So you're gonna have to release it and move it out of the way somewhat. There are in these holders, and there should be flexible line enough along it somewhere to where they pop out and then you can get over it. So we decided to resort to a wrench for the forward bushings because the power steering line here, you can get it out of the holder, but it hits the block over here. And if you try and pull it down, it hits this bracket here. So there's no way to really get it out of the way. So he's going at it with a wrench, and we're gonna pull the control arm out as he's loosening it so the bolt doesn't have to come out, because obviously it'll also hit the pan as it comes out if we were to try and pull the bolt completely out. This is the first time that PD has ever been inside the shop before. We're stepping boundaries, guys. I'm gonna have to build a chicken coop soon, because PD is becoming one of us. I'm scaring him, sorry. I'm sorry, Petey, I'm not trying to be loud. For the front one, he's able to sneak a ratchet in there. But remember, guys, don't unloosen it too much, because then you'll back yourself into a corner and then you can't get the ratchet out.
Or just have a spare ratchet and leave it in there until you put the...
That too.
That's not a good idea.
He's done eating, so he's going on his way now. He's gonna probably hang out with the Buick. He likes those wheels, they're nice and chrome. He looks at himself. He was actually able to get that front bolt out. It had enough space in the oil pan.
The rear one might come out if I can get these to...
Yeah, if you can get around that line. Spraying them up.
Do a little bit of that. Especially not down in here.
Smartest thing you could ever do before you go to a point of no return is check your parts, especially when you get them online, because we don't know if they're perfect or if they're the right ones. So we're just gonna size them up, make sure they're proper, and then we'll go from there.
You know?
So here's a really valid point. If you look at this, you see how much this side sticks out versus this side. We got to make sure that we have that proper when we go back in there, because if that's off, it'll throw off the entire geometry of the thing. Same thing with that orientation of where that steel sits. If that's off, then it'll throw off the preload on the suspension and it won't ride the same way. It'll be really messed up. So before we press them off, we're gonna mark so we know exactly where it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And same thing with the offset of how far that bushing goes in there. Because if that's off, then none of these bolts will line up. So everything has to be perfect. So mark everything, measure everything, and we'll get on that. So the only real way to do this is with a press to do proper. You could, well, sometimes the air hammer, but these steel clads on it are pretty thick. So air hammer I think is gonna be short-lived. So we're just gonna take it straight to the press.
You could also burn them out and then just cut it with a sawzall.
True.
But the aluminum, I don't know.
But that's
Yeah.
But to get them back in, you're still gonna need a press.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna need to press the them in.
messy way. Does that, I mean,
Sockets are your best friend with a punch, or a press. So we have a bigger socket underneath, and then the one that fits perfect inside the clad, so it'll go through the control arm on the top. We'll press it on through. So what we did is put this in the freezer to maybe allow this to just slide in. A lot of times you gotta heat the one and freeze the other, but to make it a little easier on ourselves. But the one thing that we need to be aware of is the clad on that new bushing is actually shorter than the original one. So it is offset a bit. Although the way it should work is if you get the one side of the clad flush with the
So that's
control
the way
arm,
to
it
push
won't matter. And then it'll be fine with the
Yeah.
alignment.
Yeah. Yep.
So same thing we did before. Big socket on the bottom so it can accept the center portion, and then the socket that matches on the top. So we'll go right on there.
Yeah.
go baby, go. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, looks good to me. The control arm is kind of, the bottom bushing's under there, and we have a socket underneath, and we're actually gonna be pushing it up out just because we can't really get to it any other way. And so, and he has the tail of it above the table. Because if we tried to do the bushing straight on the table, it would hit in here, it wouldn't have any space. So we lifted it up off of it so we have enough space.
All right.
Now we're gonna lift it on down here. I gotta put the camera down. So here's our killer combo. So something that's super important with these is the forward bushing. You can see how it's not actually center in the bushing. It's spaced off to the side. Yeah, if you do it the wrong way, you're screwed. And you have to make sure the orientation's right. That has to be perpendicular with the frame, because if it's pivoted wrong, you're gonna be screwed as well. So we have to make sure that this thing doesn't twist and it's perfect. Otherwise, we're gonna have a bunch of problems trying to put this thing back in. Alrighty, we finally got both these bad boys pressed in on both control arms. Clocked properly. The easiest way to tell is basically this is perpendicular to the angle of the whole arm, if you can kind of see that. And that's pretty much what it said. So you don't have to get too crazy with like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 2:30 or some stupid stuff like that. So, now we just gotta throw them in. Putting the ball joint in with a little assistance. So we're working on getting this control arm in. It's definitely gonna be a bit of a challenge.
Walk the axle out a little bit. So we got
Oh, so you got some room. I was wondering what he was doing. I thought he was breaking stuff.
no, Ari. We only break customers' cars.
All right, so this was actually pretty easy with 2 people. Take the axle out, because we didn't do it initially. So we took the axle out. I held this back while he fed that bushing in first, got that bolt started, and then walked it over, and now he's working on those. And then once we get everything tight up here, then we'll go ahead and rip on this with a big long pry bar and pry down on it to get this seated. The way we pry down on it, there's a hole right here. With a big long pry bar, this thing's probably about 3 foot. You can see it's already been done before. You go in here, and then I literally stood up under it and pushed up real hard on it to pry it down so that the ball joint would get in, because it was quite a big distance. Took a lot of strength, but you guys can do it. If you're laying on the ground, you can like leg press it or something. That might work. All right, brothers, that is it for the ball joints. Well, yeah, ball joints were in there, but mostly control arm bushings. That's what we started with and found the ball joints. But yeah, control arm bushings are done, they're in. You know, just always double check all your bolts, especially when it comes to suspension stuff. I always go through a checklist and kind of just, you know, before I put the wheels on, double check all the nuts and bolts, make sure everything's tight. We still gotta put this bumper on, but you'll see that in the other video. And other than that, it's good to go. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below, please. I like it. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next Volvo video. Later!